Hello everyone, this is Dor. Today I want to talk to you about being a multi-potentialite. And maybe in your life you grew up in modern culture, of course, and you've been told that you're too much. You have too many hobbies, you can't concentrate on one thing, you cannot focus on one thing, you're not committed, nothing is going to come out of you because you have so many things that you're interested and you don't know how to commit to one thing. So if that's your story, you might be a multi-potentialite. And multi-potentialite, it's research. I saw it in the beginning in a TED talk that I'm going to link here below, but I actually kept on researching what it means to be multi-potentialite. So if you break down the word, it's multi-potential-lite. So it means that your light comes from having a lot of potential in different areas. Okay, so if you already can see where this is going, it's going for people that are doing a lot of different areas. They're investing, or they have hobbies, or they training in, or they're developing different areas in their lives. What it means to be a multi-potentialite? It means that your brain has 3 different superpowers. Your brain basically works differently. So there's a lot of research being done about sensitive people, and there's a great book about it. I'm gonna link it down below, like a very sensitive human or something like that. And they discovered that 20% of the population in the world are sensitive. So the way their system is functioning as a sensitive person, it's totally different, and you can research that. So in the same way, and I think there is a connection between sensitive people to multi-potentialite people, because it's from my research, it seemed like kind of 20% of the population. So multi-potentialite people, the way their system works, the way their mind works, it works differently from normal people. Normal people are specifics. They're graded specific in one thing. They're graded being a doctor, studying 7 years to be a doctor and specify in that field. So the way your mind works as a multi-potentialite, it has three specific features, or I call them superpowers, because it's different than normal people. So the first one is cross-referencing between different areas, between different fields. Let's say, for example, you want to learn how to play the guitar. And so you start to practice the guitar, and then you get stuck with something. And you think, oh, my rhythm, when I do this in the frets, my rhythm is not good. So a multi-potentialite will cross-reference that with something else that they're doing. Maybe they're surfing. And while they were surfing, they would get this idea. I was like, wait, it's when I get stuck in the guitar, it's because I don't have the flow. So I need to pump the rhythm fast in the beginning, but then like slow down with the curves. And they're gonna take that knowledge that they found in the surfing, and they're gonna bring that into the guitar playing. And that's how your mind naturally works as a multi-potentialite. Now maybe you think, of course, like everyone brain works like that. So no. So actually people do have this cross-referencing. It is an ability in other people's mind, but it's not as developed in your mind. Your mind makes connections between different things. This is why, as a multi-potentialite, you probably have a lot of hobbies that you're great at. You might be a dancer and a painter and a coach and what else? A cook. And so sometimes a lot of these things that you're great at are sounds very artistic. So you might think, I'm an artist, I'm great at cooking and art and all of that, but it's actually because you're a multi-potentialite and your brain is great at referencing. I discovered that about myself as a multi-potentialite, that, for example, I'm doing editing, and editing is very surgical, it's very logical, it's very linear, but I still can be great at editing because I'm cross-referencing between other things into that art. So as a multi-potentialite, even if you want to do something that seems very linear and very specific, like, I don't know, like engineering, or I don't know, like writing apps or something like that, you can still do those things and just use your superpower to cross-reference between other fields, other area into this one thing. So another example of cross-referencing is, let's say that you're a coach and you're working with your clients and suddenly you're stuck with a client. You see nothing changed with this client, but you're also a dancer. And when you learn dancing, you learn that a lot about dancing is playing with the different dimensions. It's going from the dimension of just moving your arms and legs into this dimension of also going forward and backwards, also getting down and up. So you have this thing in your mind about working with dimensions. And then you go back to your client and you think, maybe what we're doing right now is very stuck because we didn't change the dimension for a while. We're just standing in my clinic and talking. So maybe if I'll move him and we'll go on a hike together, on a trip, that would open the stuckness of the training. So this is another example how you cross-referencing between different fields can empower you in whatever you do. So that's the first superpower. Just click the record. Okay, so the second superpower is starting new things. As a multi-potentialite, you're great at that because you started so many things before. You started and you stopped and you started and you stopped. And when your parents thought that you cannot commit it to anything, it wasn't that. It's just you were interested in so many different things and you wanted to experiment with them. So you started something and then you changed your mind and you went into something else. And you did it so many times that now everything new that you're starting, you're really great at that. You're really great at starting things. And if you already noticed that, probably if you started, for example, yoga, so you started yoga and you saw, wow, I'm catching it faster than other people. Or you started surfing and you're like, I'm catching it a bit faster. And it's not necessarily that you have a talent in that specific thing. It's just that you started so many times and your brain works like that, that you cross-reference again and you start new things better. You start new things faster. In modern culture, you might have been told that you don't know how to commit. Like people looked at you and it's like, nothing gonna come out of this man or woman because they don't know how to commit. Maybe your parents. It's like, choose one thing and focus on that. That's what they told you. But actually, what happens is you do know how to commit as a multi-potentialite. You're great at committing. You're so great at committing because once you have all these things that you want to do and put in just another thing in this pile of things that you're already doing is really hard for you. You really need to commit for it. So in your satchel of talented, in your belt of talented, to just bring one more hobby or one more thing into that, it's so scary for you. So then it's people think it's hard for you to commit, or you think, oh, I want to try this thing, but I don't have enough time and energy. This is a very common thing that I hear from multi-potentialite people. They're interested in what I do, for example, in possibility management, and they're like, I want to do it, but I don't have time because I'm also doing this shamanic thing, or I'm doing yoga, and how can I combine that with, because already as a multi-potentialite, you are committed to so many different things. So you don't have a problem with committing. You're great at committing. Your brain works on doing a lot of things in the same time. And that brings me actually to your third superpower, is doing a lot of things at the same time. So you have a lot of talents that you can do, and it might seem natural to you, but not a lot of people can hold all these different talented, all these different interested, all these different fields of interest, and doing them at the same time and keeping up with them. So that's the specialty of your mind, doing a lot of things at the same time and keeping up with them. And it's not, sometimes if you discover your multi-potentialite talent even deeper, you might discover that it's not also only having a lot of hobbies, but it's also being able to do a lot of things at the same time. Now in modern culture, they call it ADHD, like attention disorders. So yeah, like that. But actually, that's one of the features of your mind, to be able to do a lot of things. You can jump from different things to the other. So those things are actually might be connected. So for me, it was as someone like that. And there is also combinations between you can focus on one thing for a while and then you need to move to the other thing. So a lot of the multi-potentialite, a very, very common feature for them is they do this one thing, but then they have to stop. It's like, oh, I cannot do this thing anymore. I love it. It's so great for me, but I have to do something else. It's because your mind works like that. Okay, so start to see how your focus on different things work. It might be that you can split your attention and hold space for a yoga class, and then at the same time put your attention on the view, or how your body is, or how what you want to do later. You're like this future vision, and so you might be able to split your attention in the now, but it's also might be that you hold in different talented. And this is a great superpower because look at actors today. Look at what the world is looking for today. For example, actress, if you're just an actor today and you just know how to act, it's okay, you might succeed. But if you're an actor that know how to dance and how to sing and how to do musicals and how to even give speeches in different places, and some of them like Jim Carrey and people like that, Matthew McConaughey started to do even self-development. If you can do all this stuff,
Natalie Portman,
it makes your offer much more attractive to people. So the way the world is going is more sensitive. People look for the more sensitive superpowers and more multi-potentialite. So this is a superpower that you're doing all these things at the same time, and while you were told that you have a problem, that you cannot focus on one thing, that's actually your greatest gift right now. Okay, just after presenting all these three superpowers, I'm going to go a bit to my personal experience with being a multi-potentialite. And an example, when I was really young, I picked up guitar, and as I was learning guitar, I hated guitar because I actually wanted to split my attention to other things. So I was also doing sports, and I was also playing with the kids, that were less sensitive, but I was also playing with the sensitive kids, and doing art and painting. I had this like notebook that I used to paint all these different characters, and I was riding horses, and I was basically in all of the extracurriculum courses as a kid. And then it looks like I'm not really focusing on stuff. And for example, the people that were in charge of the horses, they told me like, you need to be serious about it, you need to commit more, you need to spend more time here. But actually in my heart I wanted to do more things. Could not commit to just this one thing because I was a multi-potentialite. But then on the other hand, why didn't they even want to invest in me and make me, I don't know, like a professional writer or something? Because they saw how fast did I get it. They thought, oh, he's getting it really fast, he must have potential. But the potential wasn't a potential of doing just a specific thing like most of the people in modern culture would expect you. It was doing a lot of things. That was my potential, is multi-potential. So for example, I had a computer game that I really loved, and I just wanted to play it for hours to see what's going on in the computer games. And when I did the computer game, I could not do homework for school. It looked ridiculous. So I had a lot of pain, a lot of times I felt other people because I'm also sensitive. So I felt other people expectations of me to focus on one thing. It was really painful. Like I thought really something is wrong with me all these years. Like I just don't know how to commit. Nothing is going to come out of me because, sometimes I saw some friends of mine that were really good at being specific in one thing. Like they were just picking one skill, like sport, and they were great at that, like playing soccer, and they just kept playing soccer and went into these teams. And I thought, I would never be like that. Like I would never be, anyone that people recognize. Like my name would not be, like I would never leave anything behind me, stuff like that. So this is actually why I'm here, and I'm making this video for you, because then you can really open up about what is really behind people's expectations of you, or what is behind modern culture wants you to be a specific person. Now, being a specific person is not bad. 80% of the people, their mind work, and that's from my research, are more with a specific, and there's different level to it. It's like a spectrum. But 80% of the people are more leaning to being more specific, and 20% are leaning more into the multi-potentialite. It have been called also generalist in the past. You can call it generalist, you can call it Renaissance man or woman, or another name I found for it is like a collager. You like a collage. You put in all these things in the same picture, and the art that has been created is for many things. So most of the people are specifics, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's their superpower. That's how they bring their treasures into the world. But the reason why it works and why most of the people are like that, because in modern culture, people wanted to put you in a certain role, in a certain organization, a very specific role. They wanted you to be the marketer of the company or the organization. They want you to be the economical manager, the accountant, the lawyer. So the way modern culture works is they put you into school, and then as you go with school, you become more and more specific. This is why a lot of people need to heal from school. It's so painful. Like for me, it was so painful to be in school where everything I learn, even if I learn different classes, it all comes from this mind of a specific. How to be specific in this field. Nobody ever told you, how can we cross-reference between the Bible school and history? How can we cross-reference between philosophy and math? How can we cross-reference between English and sport? Like nobody teaches like that in school. So being in school as a multi-potential must have been for you a very painful experience. And the way it goes is like they want you to be a specific person in the end. But you don't have to do it. You can break that. You can break those chains that you've been walking with your whole life. Definitely when I heard about this multi-potentialite, I started to unchain myself and start to own in and research my own genius as a multi-potentialite. So no one can stop you from doing that, but also no one can do it for you. To break this thing and start seeing your superpower as a multi-potentialite, and how you can bring all these different superpowers that I talk about today into your own life, and what you're taking a stand for in your life. Because what you're taking a stand for, we need that. We need people to do something different into the world. And you got this superpower to do it. You can, for example, work with different clients, get different messages. Maybe the getting different messages stuff is more about being a sensitive ADHD person. I love the sensitive ADHD person. Because you can, for me, I jump between different messages in different groups, and I talk there, and I bring this group into these people, and these people into that thing, and that's your multi-potentialite, crossing between things. So if you get it, start developing these superpowers. And now I want to bring into this video a multi-potentialite except of me. By the way, I meet so many of you multi-potentialite, so please write something here below. Just say, hey, I'm a multi-potentialite. Hey, this video touched me in some way, or you can share this video. But I also want to interview a multi-potentialite that is here with me. Let's go. Hello everyone, we're gonna jump into an interview with Liv.
Hello, everyone.
prompt to this interview is a lot of times it happens to me when I talk to you about things and you're like, yeah, I do that. I do this also. Like we're talking about yoga. Yeah, I'm a yoga teacher, and we're talking about jewelry. Like you just fixed this talisman, and you do a lot of things, and like singing and cooking, and it's like the question maybe I'll start with is what brought you to go and try all these different things.
Yeah, maybe start with that I didn't want to put myself into a box and say to myself that I am not capable to do what I like to do and try out. So I tried out a lot of things already as a child, and I got kind of used to jump into trying out.
Yeah.
And it was like a habit. It became a habit to not putting me into a box and that can't be expanded. So I learned from very early on to try out, and it was easy for me. It was not like a challenge, a really big challenge to try out new things.
Mm-hmm. So boxes, you mean, is like those kids, they're like, you're a ballerina, that's all you do, you just ballerina all your life, or you're a soccer player.
Yeah.
And with you, did you, as a kid, did you try like different kind of how do you say, workshops or different kind of classes and stuff like that?
Yes, a lot of different things. True. So if I remember right, the first class I joined was like a painting class to express my feelings.
To express your feelings?
Yes.
They already put that in the class?
No, my mom thought I need that to to like express my feelings after the divorce of her with my father.
So here's a question: how long did you stay in this painting class?
1 year.
Only 1 year, and then
Yes.
the next year, what did you choose instead of that?
Then I went to the Aikido class.
And how much time in the Aikido?
1.5 years, I guess.
And what then after that?
Horse riding.
Yeah. There you go. That's a multi-potentialite. That's me too. Like I jumped all over, and some things I kept. Like some things like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, I used to really caught my heart. So I played for a while, but it's also inside of that game. There's a lot of different characters that you can play. There's a lot of different adventures. So that game also, it's a development. It's not like staying focused. So even in things that I stayed and focused, I was like, did you find that as well?
Yes. I found my greatest like gift in singing, in music, that was accompanying through my whole life. Yeah. So this is something that really stayed since I'm 10 years old. Yeah. And I wanted to know, like, dig deep into the lyrics and really understand what people have to say. And for me, the lyrics were very important. So I didn't only enjoy like the music and the flow. Yeah, and I tried to translate it. So I asked my dad if he can print me out like the lyrics. And I translated from English to German.
Okay.
With the dictionary.
Beep, you're speaking about your family again. Twice.
Right.
No, I got to the close off, yeah. I'm gonna edit this part out, don't worry. So my question is, what happened as a multi-potentialite that if you want to learn something new? Like for example, you starting to go now into possibility management, or like I show you sometimes things like survival in nature. I show you and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like send me that video. It's like, what's going on with you when you find out like about something new that you want to do? And does it happen very often that you see new things that you want to learn or to try?
Yes.
You're basically all the time like that.
Yeah, I find a lot of things interesting in the world, and yeah, sometimes I have like the feeling I want to know everything, you know? I want to know like all the connections that are made, how everything is built, and how people think. Why did they construct the things where we live in? Yeah. And how the plants are growing, like it's all connected, and I want to really dig deeper into the connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every detailed part is like a part of this connection. So yeah, I try to understand at little, or at least like the basis of how something is done, or yeah.
Yeah, because when you see the bases, you also see how it's all connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really in your dimension of reality, it's all connected. And that's how multi-potentialite people see the world. They think that everything is connected because everything that they learn, they found it's like a network. It's like a net of connections between all these things. So everything seems like this one big net.
I have an example. For me, when I learned math at school, for example, there are like these harmonies, and for me it was not important to like fix the problem in math. For me it was more looking at the numbers and seeing like the harmonies. And later I understood that like this is also found in music.
Mm-hmm.
And like these connections, I mean, as well. So putting different subjects or different ideas of understanding a matter or a functioning, how we try to explain things in the world, putting it into another context and connect it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is something I really like. Yeah.
Okay, going back to my previous question about like what happens if you have something new that you want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and I hear that it happens a lot that you want to learn new things. So for example, we talked about the space holder training, and I told you, do you want to join the space holder training, and it was on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to you when it happened? Like, why couldn't you join?
On Monday.
Yeah.
Because I'm I'm joining a Brazilian percussion group every Monday.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you know, music is very important for me, and it's playing in a group, and yeah.
Yes, so that is an example of what we talked about. That like multi-potential, they have so many things that they're doing, that to just find a space for one more thing that they can to commit to is it's almost, I don't know how it is for me it's scary, or sometimes it's, I don't have room. Like, how can I put this new thing that I'm fascinated about in this already bundle of things that I'm doing and I'm fascinated about? And when people see that in multi-potentialite, my story is that they think, oh, this person doesn't know how to commit to things. They don't know how to commit. There is like, but actually every time that you change and you pick something else to put into this bundle, it's because you're super committed to it. You committed enough that you're gonna push away like this something that you're so passionate about, and and you bring another thing into it.
Yeah, I agree totally to this. And that's why I learned also to be like surrounded by people that understand exactly this presence and this commitment that they don't get me in the wrong way just because I'm like interested in different things. I'm not distracted. I'm just
Wow.
very focused.
Yeah,
And you know, and that's why for me it's so important to find people and groups of people who are also like that. And I know that there are so many. I don't even have friends anymore who are not like this, you know. It's like if you really decide yourself to go this way and to acknowledge that in yourself and don't listen to the voices outside, what was taught or talked, then you feel like the energy of yourself is changing, and it brings you like the right people into your life. And that's so interesting.
Yeah, what I see is happening is that because modern culture is very judgmental about multi-potentialite, and what is praised is someone that like picks a career and stay in that career and advance like linearly in that. And if in modern culture you see someone that is like bouncing around, changing careers, changing things, like basically is being judged. So what happens is all these people, they go into, at first they go into like new age culture, where it's okay to do yoga and cacao ceremonies and tantra and shamanism and acro yoga and like ecstatic dance, like to do all this suddenly, like I can do all these things and it's okay. And so a lot of the people, they gather around this culture of that I call new age culture, and they gather around in these communities that suddenly for the first time it's okay to not be specific about one thing, and it's almost like a fresh of breath air. It's like for a lot of these people.
Yeah, it's like a release. It's like coming back to your true nature and find relaxation in it.
For multi-potentialite. And then someone that is very oriented, like a specialty mind, and like I said in the video about it, it's also a superpower to have a specialty mind, like to have a mind that can focus on one thing and doesn't have this multi-potentialite. It also has a lot of value.
Oh yeah.
So if you're someone like that, usually when you come to this community, you look for this, like, where is the linear path? Where is the specialization of this thing? And maybe they get a bit confused or something. And what I see is that there is another step. There's like the next step, because when you come to as a multi-potentialite to this, you can do everything, but then you start mixing stuff together. And because your mind works like that, your mind is about creating this like connection between things. But then what people do is they mix like the context of things instead of mixing the connection in them and staying with one thing, but having the knowledge of different contexts, but still doing purely that. They mix between, they're like doing a cacao yoga ceremony, or like an ecstatic shamanism, mushroom gazing into the night, moon, astrology space. And it's very natural because multi-potentialite, where our brain works on mixing things. But then they mix context of things, and when you mix context of things, you have the resistance. You have things that for example, let's say I'm mixing yoga and shamanism, and I do a ceremony, and someone that's doing yoga for a long time is like taking a substance to reach something. It's like it's not part of the context of yoga. But then in shamanism, someone was going to give them like an ayahuasca, and then it would be like there would be resistance or confusion or something around that. So what I see in next culture can happen is you can hold different contexts as a multi-potentialite, but then you just drop them. You like, okay, I can pick up yoga right now and do yoga, but then I go and do something else, and I drop the first context and I go into the next context, and I'm purely into that with being multi-potentialite. That's like what I see the next step of it. Because there is something about New Age culture that there's a lot of mixing stuff and everything, but I don't know, for what I see, I still find in there's just New Age culture, a lot of people that they still feel something missing. This something missing is like clarity about what is this thing that they're here for to do, or what is the stand that I'm taking for Gaia, for life. And it's this archetypal, it's what we're talking about, the fifth body. It's that thing, and it sounds a bit speciality, right? It's starting to sound like the first thing that was offered to us by modern culture, like choose a specialty career. But it's actually not, because for your mission you need to be a generalist. You need to have like the knowledge from all these things that you get, or talking to cultures, to other cultures. You do need all this multi-potentialite skill, and at the same time, the mixing context thing, it doesn't help you. It's like mixing context, mixing emotions, mixing energies, like sexual energies. It's like all this stuff that happen in the New Age culture, it sometimes limited that.
Yeah, what I hear is to go to the next potential of a multi-potentialite.
Yeah.
To like don't mix contexts and look at different contexts like distinctively and really focused. What I know from myself that I have really strong senses, like for hearing, for seeing, and also for smelling or touching. It's like, for me it feels very, very fast, very strong, and very like deep when I have a sensation. And so over the years I also learned for myself that I need some space to really notice these sensations, because sometimes it's like an overfloating of information coming in, and maybe because of these sensations and the sensitivity for everything that is around, it's sometimes also hard to find my center. And yeah, and also that there is the potential to see what is all there to explore. You know, it's like the different levels that I would like to look at. And
So you mean crossing between different fields, different areas, it brings you back to your sensitivity and how those things like feel?
yeah, and also to know now as an adult about my sensitivity, like in an adult way about it. It's completely different than just being overwhelmed as a child, for example, or as a teenager.
Yeah.
And I want to empower multi-potentialites. And because I find it important that multi-potentialites recognize that they have a lot of strength, and that they have the power to like explore and to go further than they think they can, you know, and to really use that instead of numbing themselves.
How?
I mean, yeah, sometimes when you feel like you're not good enough at something just because you have a lot of interests and you're maybe not a specialist, then you maybe feel fear of not being capable of anything, and you're gonna try to numb your fear by drinking alcohol, taking drugs, or going on superficial conversations all the time, being distracted by everything that is given in the world of consumption that doesn't really bring you to your center. Yeah, that's what I like to share, and to recognize the gifts that we have in us,
Yeah.
each one of us. Yeah.
Something in what you're saying, it makes me think about people that because they were multi-potentialite all their life, they got this vibe of you're not being successful, or you're not, something is not working, something is wrong with you, and this feeling already got stuck. So now they try to do new things, and they already expect this result. They expect the results of failing, or not, or being like not organized about that, or quitting, because they think that because they're multi-potential and they replaced a hobby with something else, they quit. But they didn't quit, they just replaced it. So they think, oh, I'm gonna quit again, I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna want to change, go to something else. And what I hear you saying is that, like, if you accept that you're a multi-potentialite, it can empower you. It's like, okay, that's my strength to try different things. And it's not like changing this perspective about failing. You didn't fail. Part of your journey as a multi-potentialite was to learn a lot of things, and you made it because you learned a lot of things by now.
Exactly.
And you started many things.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Keep going.
We're on your team. So yeah, and keep spreading the message of multi-potentialites, and please share this video if you feel called to, and you can comment something below. And thank you, and see you next time. Thank you, Liv, for having this interview.
Thank you, Dor, for
Super
having
helpful.
me here, and yeah.